This is an open letter to the millennials to try to explain your position now in the world as you're taking over, and you need to recognize that evil comes from too much greed, anger, false beliefs, arrogance. That money really doesn't buy happiness. That's an illusion. And the world has become addicted to money, and you people are going to need to set yourself free from this addiction to money. Because we need to save a planet. And I know that America's ashamed of what's happened and the addiction. And it's up to you millennials to try to stop this, because fossil fuels are killing species and they're killing people. Yes, it is possible that we are looking at the extinction of the human race, all for the ideas of greed. And Adolf Hitler said, by skillful, sustained use of the media propaganda, one can make a people see a heaven and hell, or maybe even see an extremely wretched life as a paradise. You see, we have to recognize what the media is doing to people, and how they're twisting stories. We don't really see the truth. And are we really going to let a bunch of greedy, selfish, idiot fools do in the whole planet? Well, what happened to our rights of privacy? Well, the ultra-rich revoked it. In 9/11, they used the world's fear to revoke our rights of privacy. Freedom of speech, no, they did the same with that. Took that away. Do you think you have freedom of speech? There are certain things you're not allowed to talk about. There's certain topics you're not even allowed to discuss. You're not allowed to talk about equal economic education. You're not allowed to talk about the idea that tobacco is being used to addict children without anybody persecuting reckless endangerment. You're not allowed to talk about synthetic anything could be an insult to the body, or growing or oil rather than digging for it. You're not allowed to talk about any of that, because if you do, you will be silenced, laughed at, persecuted, prosecuted, like I have been. And now you millennials need to recognize that greed has bound the planet and is binding your minds. And that big sugar killer, tobacco, big pharma, big oil, the war machine, these are companies making a living killing people in mass quantities. And we need to set ourselves free, and you need to understand much more of this, and you need to look into this and get into my movies and books, because all of the decadence of America, the idea to eat anything, do anything, whatever, shallow people everywhere. And now you millennials, because the cure for shallow people, throw in the deep water. Well, now you're into the deep water, millennials, and you have to choose whether you want to be puppets or whether you want to set yourself free. You're now in the deep water, millennials. And that the idea of celebrities and celebrity worship, you see, they've given you this celebrity worship to try to take away the ideas, and that all of the generation before you was all guilty of celebrity worship. They all were guilty of this and sick of this disorder and the selfie syndrome, turning you into narcissistic assholes so that you won't look at what's going on around you. You're only going to look at the selfie generation. And how do we tell narcissism? How many selfies per hour? And now you millennials, are you going to set yourself free? Are you going to just turn to the magazines, be spoon-fed what they want you to see? How about shopping? Shopaholics. Are you just going to become another shopaholic and just buy mindlessly what they're selling? You're going to eat what they're telling you from the media? Or are you going to set yourself free? Are you going to be bound into narcissism? Give into it. Are you going to be narcissistic, mindless slaves buying what the ultra-rich want you to buy? Are you going to be placated, that even though you're not sad, you're just not happy? Are you going to be buying, twisting, narcissistic selfies? Are you just going to be the narcissistic generation? Are you going to recognize that deep inside, now you need to look? That you don't want to look at the evil greed, makes you sick and hopeless. So you turn inwards to hide your shame. Is that what you want? Because the future of this planet, the future of your children, depends on it. You setting yourself free from the selfie and the narcissism. Recognizing America has become addicted to cash Everything they do is so rash. And you have to set yourself free. Free from the shame, the American shame. And recognize that sometimes you have that hopeless feeling that you just can't do anything. That feeling that you're trapped. That feeling that you can't really make a difference. You can make a difference. You can start by setting yourself free from the strings of the evil ultra-rich. Recognize you were born original, so don't die a copy. Don't just try to be like other people. Become yourself. Rise above the situation and grab a hold, because we have to save a planet. And you cannot solve problems with the same thinking that we use to create them. We have to rise above this, and we have to recognize that going to an agricultural system is what we need to do. And we have to recognize and get into my movies to understand about the evil ultra-rich. And so you could understand how to set yourself free. Because in my movies, it isn't just the problems. We have the solutions. And now, millennials, you're faced with, are you going to become part of the problem? Or are you going to become the solution? This is Desiree Dubonnet. I hope you become part of the solution.